One thing I found is that most advice on church growth comes from really large churches, but I have pastored a very small church, about 30 people, and we grew to about 150 people and went from 1 visitor every single month to close to 13 visitors every single week. But here's what I found is that most of us that pastor small churches, we have this if you build it, they will come kind of mindset when it comes to growing our churches. And the reality is that's just not quite how it works. Maybe you've been there, you've built out a great website and you're ready to receive guests, but they're just not walking through the door. So in this video, what I'm gonna do is try to break down for you my 6-step plan that can double, triple, or I'd even say 10x the number of first-time visitors you've seen. I know it works because it worked for me, and I'm gonna break it down for you. Well, hey guys, I'm Thomas, and in addition to being a pastor at a local church here in Hawaii, I'm also the founder of REACHRIGHT, a company that helps churches reach more people and grow. We've helped over 800 churches reach more people in their community, and these are some of the things I'm going to break down for you that actually get results for churches, especially when your church is small to medium sized. Let me start out with a couple of disclaimers. First of all, I am not going to be preaching overnight growth to you. We all know that people may promise that, but that just doesn't happen. The best returns, especially for small to medium-sized churches, happen over the long haul. They tend to snowball. When you get some things right, it starts to build on each other, and that's really where the marketing wins are. So let's start off with something that most churches I find think they have dialed in, but I've seen over and over again that they're lacking, and I'm talking about your church's branding. And this is the first step that I recommend every church takes when you're starting to get serious about seeing more visitors come through your doors, is you need to take a hard look at your branding. The thing about branding, especially with churches, is it helps to make your organization memorable. People see a look and a feel, and they immediately think of your church. That's what we're going for. And when your look lacks consistency, it makes people forget your church. So here's what every church needs. Every church needs a branding guidelines document. You need one document that's the authoritative source that says what we will do for our look and feel and what we won't do. All of these things together play a part in what your overall brand feels like at your church. And once you have that established, you're ready to roll into some of these other parts of your marketing. Maybe it's time to consider hiring a professional. I know sometimes there's a temptation to go in the church for this, but believe me, this is something, if done right, is going to last your church decades. So you don't just want to go with whoever is available, or maybe someone that went to a college course on how to do graphic design. Get a professional to do it. It doesn't have to cost a fortune, but it is money well spent. And once you have your branding in place, you're ready to move on to the next step, which is doing a website audit. So listen, 85% of first-time visitors are going to see your brand and your website before they walk in the doors of your church for the first time. Yes, they're discovering you online. And here's the big mistake that I see especially small churches make, is we make our websites inward-focused as opposed to outward-focused. And really, that is the exact opposite of what we should be doing. See, here's the thing, especially for smaller churches, our members of our church, they very rarely use our website. If anything, they might be finding our sermons on there, but let's be honest, most of us go to YouTube or those channels we're already on to see the sermons from our church. They may look at our church website for the events that are upcoming and those kinds of things, but a lot of times they'll see those on social media. But you know who is getting onto your church website? Yeah, it's first-time visitors, people that want to know what your church is about. They're wondering who's in charge here and what do you believe and teach? And they have all kinds of other questions before they show up, like what time do I get there and what should I be wearing? You see, visitors are the primary people that use our websites. Make sure your visitors can easily find when your services are, where you're located, and then any other questions like what you offer for kids and what to expect on their first visit. Really lean into building your website around your visitors and you won't regret it. Hey, before we get to the next item, I have to tell you, if you're looking for us to do some of these audits for you, you're in luck. We offer a free 100-point church marketing analysis. In this, we do a deep dive into your church branding, your website, your social media presence, how easy you are to find online, and give you an overall score with marching orders on what your church can do to improve. So if this is the kind of thing that you're interested in, and you probably are because you're watching this video, sign up for that down below. It doesn't cost you anything, and you'll get a report in your inbox giving you all these details. I hope you take advantage of that. Now, we've talked about website. Let's move on to the next thing is how do we get people onto that website? And that's probably one of the most important things. It's where local SEO comes in. Now, here's why local SEO is such a superpower, especially for small churches. It's because really large churches don't have much of an advantage when it comes to competing for Google's attention in local SEO. First, you want to make sure you claim and optimize your Google business profile. That's the primary tool that Google uses to recommend which churches people should be going to when they type in searches like church near me or church in Honolulu. Make sure you get your name, address, phone number, get your service times in there, get all kinds of other information in there about who you are and why you exist as an organization. Here's a general rule. When it comes to Google, give them all the information they're asking for and they will typically give you a higher ranking. Next up, you want to make sure you get listed in other directory sites. So I'm talking about things like Facebook and Apple Maps and Yelp and Bing Maps and every other directory. Then you want to move on to reviews. And this is one that rubs people the wrong way a lot of times, but let me break it down for you. To me, a review is just another word for a testimony. It's someone telling you, this was my experience as a result of going to this church, or this is how I encountered God and he changed my life, and I met the Lord at this church here. That's what a review is. So ask the people in your church to leave you a review on Google. This makes a huge difference. Now, my recommendation is you don't just make an announcement this Sunday and ask people to pull out their phones in service and everybody leave a review, because Google will probably catch on to something that maybe thinks you're gaming the system. But make a habit of getting 1 or 2 reviews every single month, or even better, every single week. But don't get too worried if someone leaves you a bad review. There's ways you can deal with that. I'll leave a link to a video in the description below and in the card right up here. If you start ranking in the top 3 in a major metro, well, you're talking about hundreds of people that are seeing your church every single week. That can lead to dozens of visitors and make a huge impact even for small churches. Now, do that with local SEO and you'll get found, but one thing a lot of churches miss is the opportunity in the world's second biggest search engine, and that is YouTube. Every church needs to be taking advantage of this. Now, let me start by saying something that might sound controversial, but I don't think it should be. YouTube isn't just for mega churches, and a lot of people approach YouTube that way. They think that, well, we'll just use it to hold our sermons, but we're never going to be like Elevation Church or Church Home and have thousands and thousands of people watching our service every single week. And yeah, you're probably right. Not every church is called to do that or going to be able to have that kind of an impact on YouTube. But I have seen over and over again that even small churches can have a bigger reach on YouTube if they set it up right than they can on Sunday mornings. And I'm not exaggerating on this, but I'm here to tell you that you can actually measure something much more important on YouTube, and that is watch time. In fact, I don't even care at all about how many views a video gets. What we really care about is how much time do people spend watching our videos. And that's actually what YouTube cares about the most. And that's what the algorithm uses to decide what videos they're going to keep pushing out. So here's what you can do, even as a small church, is start posting consistently on YouTube. Yes, take your services every single week and get them onto YouTube. And when I say this, I mean specifically the sermon portion of your videos. We've spent hundreds of hours testing this, and I can say with a very high level of confidence that people are primarily interested in your sermons, and as much as we want them to be, they're just not going to sit through and watch your worship time of your services. Now, believe me, I am the biggest fan of worship. I'm not anti-worship in any way, but I just know that if our main goal is to reach people with the gospel, we're better off giving people what they want on YouTube, and that is just the sermon portion. Here's the secret that small churches have to understand. If I cut out my announcements, and yes, I even cut out my worship, you can post your worship separately in a different video, and just have the sermon as a standalone, YouTube will show my videos to more people because fewer people will be clicking over large parts of it, and the algorithm will reward that. Beyond that, here's one of the biggest hacks is make sure you change up your titles so that they're much more search engine friendly. Make sure it's something you think people might actually put into a search engine. So for instance, this week, I did a sermon about tithing and I called it Who's First in Your Life? That is a great title on a Sunday morning, but the problem is on YouTube, nobody's typing in Who's First in Your Life into a YouTube search. I would have been much better off using a title like, What does the Bible say about tithing? And then maybe even including a verse like Malachi chapter 3. You get these couple of areas right, and you'll see more and more people watching your videos. And it's not just for our vanity that we want to see that happen. People discover churches on YouTube often. Now, YouTube's really powerful, but let me show you how you can multiply your YouTube reach, and that's by repurposing some of your sermon content. One of these shorts on YouTube can get several hundred views, if not thousands of views. And then if someone has watched the entirety of a short clip, YouTube is much more likely to recommend your other content to those kinds of people. And the same thing goes on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. It's all about keeping your church top of mind for people. And when someone is engaged with your content or maybe seen you on Instagram, well, when their life gets rough or they're in a hard time or they're finally at that place where they're looking for answers, they'll remember that they've seen your church over and over again online, especially if you have your branding figured out, and then they'll be more likely to engage with you and walk in your door on the Sunday morning that they're ready to come. But here's one of the big mistakes I see with this is posting really inconsistently. You'll remember maybe to do 1 or 2 a week, and then you'll take a few weeks off, but this is best done if you have a consistent plan. I'd say to start off, what if you decided to do 2 per week? You'll find 2 great clips from your sermon. You'll put them out every single week on the same time, on the same day every week. I'd recommend maybe like a Tuesday and Thursday. If you're short on help to get these kinds of things done, there are some really great tools out there like Opus Clip or Sermon Shots. Both of them will actually take a full-length sermon and actually do all the clipping for you. Sermon repurposing is hands down one of the best things you can do, but let me share with you one thing that I think might be even more powerful. And in fact, this probably blows more minds of pastors than anything else that we've seen out here. And that's taking advantage of the $10,000 a month Google ad grant. If you don't know about this, let me tell you what it is. Google gives all nonprofits who are eligible a $10,000 a month grant to use for their ads on their platform. Now, this is not $10,000 a month in cash. You will not receive anything in your bank account. It is a $10,000 a month credit to use for ads on Google's ad platform. They're for search ads and what's called the Performance Max ads, but I don't want to get too technical on this. That's for another video I'll tell you about in a minute. But the question you need to ask yourself is, would $10,000 of free ads make a difference for my church? I think for just about every church, whether you're 50 people or 5,000 people, the answer has to be yes. $10,000 a month is a huge game changer. But here's the thing, and I don't want to say it's a catch, but it's just something you need to be aware of. The $10,000 isn't necessarily easy to spend. In fact, I've seen lots of pastors try to go it alone on this and just get it started and see what happens. And usually that turns into them spending about $20 to $50 the first month, and then it goes down from there. If you don't want to spend the time to learn how to do it, well, we have a service that we provide here at REACHRIGHT. Well, we will just take it over for you. This is probably the secret sauce that has drawn the most visitors into my church, more than anything else we've talked about so far. You have to have the other foundations in place, but this is really the fuel that you can add to the fire. In fact, just this last week, we had someone fill out one of our Connect cards, and they said they found us on Google. We were pretty sure it was from one of those Google ads, and they immediately signed up to jump into our new Aloha Lunch, where we invite new people to jump into our church. And I can tell you that same story just about every single week. That's how powerful this is. Now, I did a full breakdown in another video, which I think is the next one you should watch, that shows you, if you want to learn the Google grant, exactly how to do it. Make sure to watch this video next.